Well, welcome everybody to our MOScholars scholarship webinars. We talk about tax credits and how you can make an impact and a difference for a life of a child. We have with us a set of wonderful panelists today. So Leah Seba-King, who's our Director of Mission Advancement, and our H.W. Meyer, who is basically our resident expert and accountant and our Mo District Board of Director member. And together they are going to guide us through how easy of a process it is to be able to reserve your tax credit, send the money in, and make an impact for a child. But before we get to them, and they're guiding you through the program, I just want to share a little bit about how this is really impacting families. So the families that we have joined so far is we have 110 kids in our system as of today. And with that, out of that group, we have 15 total that are funded. So if you think about that, there are quite a few more kids still on a waiting list waiting to receive those funds so that they can attend the school of their choice. We have 20 Lutheran schools that are involved in this process. And if you think about some of the families, I'll give you a few stories because I've been on the phone with a couple of them here and there. Just kind of guiding them through the process. You're talking about single mothers with 1, 2, or even 3 children that are really trying to make ends meet, to give their child a better opportunity to go to a school that's going to impact and change their life, not just from an academic standpoint, but you talk about an eternal standpoint when you're learning about Jesus Christ and who that personal Savior is, because it's impacting that child and it's impacting that family, and you're talking about making an impact for generations to come. And we're not talking about spending more money than you already have, in the sense you're actually having an opportunity to take part of your tax liability with the state and say, I want it to go towards education, more specifically Lutheran education, because I want children to have a Christ-centered education. And what an amazing thing that their state did. They actually put a law in place that's very smart and very good thing that will impact and change lives for eternity. So lots of great things that are going on with this. We're definitely excited that this is up and running. We have a lot of students involved, and we want to make sure that they all get funded and can attend those Lutheran schools. And this is a scholarship that will follow them all the way until they graduate 12th grade. What an opportunity we have to provide for them the ability to go to a school of choice, to learn, to have the academic excellence and growth and development, but especially to learn about Christ in all that they do. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Leah and H.W. Meyer, who are going to guide us through just how simple this system really is. Leah?
All right. Thank you so much, Josh. I will confess to everyone watching that 4 months ago, I had heard the term tax credit, didn't know what one was, and automatically assumed that I, as a taxpayer in the state of Missouri, wouldn't qualify. This doesn't benefit me. This applies to other people. Well, then I heard that the Missouri District was going to be involved in this tax credit program. And I thought, well, I need to be able to speak to this. And if it does apply to me, I want to go through the process so that I can speak to it intelligently and get everybody through this. But I still didn't know what one was or what was going on. So I did what anyone would do. I ran down to Cape Girardeau to have lunch with my friend and our board member, H.W. Meyer, and his wife, Diane. And I asked all of these very basic questions. What is a tax credit? How does this work? What's going on? HW is so full of knowledge and walked me through everything. And I thought, well, what if on Zoom, H and I have that exact same conversation in front of all of you so you can see it. Along the way, you might have questions that I didn't ask that day or that we don't have here. Use the chat box. We're going to have some Q&A at the end. If you have questions for me, for HW, but even for Josh about the schools and the families and what does that mean, we'll get to those after I spend some time talking to HW. So, Mr. Meyer, thank you so much for joining us today.
You're welcome. This is an exciting program, and this is new to the state of Missouri. But in their infinite wisdom, they have allocated some tax credits, which are fantastic things to have.
Yeah.
And I'll just reiterate what Lee said. You always think, oh, well, these are just for big people. Mm-hmm. Well, in this case, No, it isn't. It's for everybody who files a state income tax return can take advantage of this. And fortunately, it doesn't cost the donor a penny because for every dollar that they spend, they get $1 back on their state income tax return, whether it be in the form of a refund or a carryover. That's in basic terms, that's what a credit is, as opposed to a deduction. A deduction on your tax return normally means you have to, one, itemize your tax return, or two, you just get the percentage of whatever tax bracket you're in. So if you're in a 20% tax bracket and you give $1,000, that's $200. A tax credit says $1,000 is $1,000. That's why this is so exciting. Most other credits in the state of Missouri, you only get a 50% credit and no carryover. This one here is a credit for 100%. And if you don't use it all up in 1 year, you can move it over for 4 more years.
Sure.
Unless they have the program to extend it longer, you've got 4 years to use it up. So no dollars lost.
All right, so let's talk, just for those that hear the term tax credit and were like me a few months ago and just over your head, in its most basic terms, not even pertaining to MOScholars in particular, but this idea of tax credits. If you were to explain this to someone who's never heard that term, what would you say?
Okay, well, let's just put it in simple terms. Let's say that you owe $1,000 on your state income taxes.
Mm-hmm.
That's just your normal process. And I'm using $1,000 because it's easy to do the calculations.
Sure. Are you talking about for the whole year or just like what I'd pay in April?
No, that the whole year, your whole year, if it comes up and it says total income is X number of dollars, total tax is $1,000. Okay. Mm-hmm. Might be $10,000. It might be $500, whatever it is. It's not what's still due. It's your total tax. So what the state of Missouri says, you'll take that total tax, $1,000, and I'm just using that as an example. You'll divide it by 2 and says, okay, you can use $500 of these tax credits to pay $500 of that $1,000 that you owe. Mm-hmm. And if you don't owe because you've paid in more tax, you can get a refund of the dollars, or you can carry them over. That's the thing. It works just like a check back to you from the state of Missouri says, use this to pay my taxes. And so actual cost out of the pocket, absolutely nothing. You're still going to pay $1,000 in taxes one way or the other, but this way, the Missouri district is just being able to use 50% of that this year to do what Josh says that they're doing. They got the people on the waiting list, and they got the people that want to do it, and it's just it basically is a win-win.
So. Okay, so my next question to you is going to be, what's the benefit of that? But I think you hit this. I have to pay my taxes every year regardless, and here's a shot for me to direct them to something that matters to me, to basically pay my taxes early to a not-for-profit, the Missouri District in this case, and then get credit for it later when I actually file my taxes. Is that an accurate?
That's exactly right. It's a way that you can direct some of your tax dollars directly to a cause rather than just to the state treasurer, and then the state treasurer doles out the money to wherever the needs that they happen to decide on. So that it's kind of nice to be able to direct your tax dollars directly to something that you're that you feel very, very strongly for.
Awesome. All right. So then I heard this term in this program, and you hit on this a little bit, and I thought that's great, but it doesn't apply to me. Like I'm just I don't have kids in Lutheran schools. I just don't really have a connection, or maybe I fall into a certain bracket or whatever. Who's eligible to take advantage of a tax credit?
Well, the nice thing about this one is everybody that files a state income tax return. And that doesn't necessarily have to be just you individually. If you happen to own a company and it happens to be a corporation and the corporation pays state income tax, you can use it on that. You can use it, and I'll use a term, and if you have one, You'll be familiar with it. If you're an S corporation, which doesn't pay state income tax, they pass it to the individual. That S corporation can also make the deduction. And so, so if you file a Missouri, you're a Missouri resident and you file a Missouri tax return, even if you're out of state and you have some Missouri income and you have to file a non-resident Missouri, that credit's available for you. It goes on, in this case, you can always talk to your tax accountant, but it's a line 40 on your Missouri tax return says tax credits. Put your full dollar amount on that and then decide how you want to, if you got an overpayment, how you want to handle the overpayment. So, yeah, anybody that files a Missouri income tax return is eligible to make this contribution.
Perfect. So it applies to all of us. This is great. So you had mentioned the word donation, and people are familiar with donations. You make donations to your church, to the Missouri district, to other not-for-profits of that are on your heart. How is a tax credit different than a donation, or is it? Can you clear any of that up?
Yeah, it is. Normally a donation is just a deduction, just like anything else. Your interest on your house payments, your taxes, or anything like that. A donation is a reduction of income. A tax credit that you get for it is a dollar for dollar payment. And so you don't take it, you don't have to worry about what tax bracket I'm in. Can I deduct it? Can't I deduct it? No, this is all money in your pocket, straight to you. So it's just so much better than a deduction. Anytime you get a credit is always better than a deduction.
So if your encouragement is do credits, but then also in a separate category, keep on giving to your church, to your school, to your Missouri district. It's another component of taxes, but the tax credit is something totally different, and a credit is not a deduction.
Absolutely 100% correct. Yeah, it doesn't affect anything else. If you're a contributor to your church, you get the same deduction. This is not the limitation on that. It's just a nice way that the state of Missouri says we're going to allocate some money, and we're going to let the Missouri district allocate who should get that. And goes back to what Josh says, the people apply for it, the need is there. They love to have Christian education, but they can't afford it. I feel strongly about that, so I can help.
All right.
Doesn't cost me.
You touched on this a little bit. If people in their heads are going, okay, what amount should I do in terms of credit? What amounts can I do? What are the rules when it comes to specific amounts? If people are trying to think, what do I do? What's appropriate for me? What's the rule of MOScholars?
Sure. I just did one with an elderly individual, and that feels very strongly about Christian education. And all I did was I went over to her house. I took her tax return. I saw how much her tax was. I divided it by 2 and said, I can use this much this year, or we can take that and multiply it times 4, and you can contribute that much. And for the next 4 years, you can contribute it. So what she did was she says, okay, if I can use that in the next 4 years, I'll just write a check for that much money now and not pay as much estimates next year.
Okay.
So, in that situation, it was easy. If people do their own tax return, they usually know where their tax line is, and you divide it by 2. And if you divide it by 2, it says, okay, this is how much I can give to this program this year. And obviously everybody's taxes change every year. So if I don't use it all up, I got 4 years to use it dollar for dollar. So that's kind of how that works.
So I'll share what I personally did. I dug up my paperwork from 2021, took a photo because I thought, is this the line that I paid to Missouri? Texted it to my CPA, and she went, yep, that's your amount. And in the case of MOScholars, you could give up to half or use that in a year. So I took that, and yep, there it is. The program itself has a minimum credit amount of $500.
Right. There is a minimum $500.
Yep.
So if you don't owe $500 in taxes, than the minimum contribution. But the nice thing about it is, even if you don't owe $500 in taxes, you might owe $500 in taxes over the next 4 years. So you'll be able to use it up. So you say, oh, I don't want to write a check for 500 because I won't get the money. But in 4 years, if you owe $100 a year, you're going to have first year plus 4 years, $500 anyway. It might just take you a little while to use it all.
All right. So HW, you've gone through the process. I've gone through the process. For anybody watching going, okay, this sounds good. How do I actually carry this out? What did you do to help your clients sign up? What did it take online? The amount of time that it took? What happened?
Well, it was, this is the simplest thing I think I've ever done. It took a whole 15 minutes because we were talking while we were doing it. And that's how long it actually took to do this whole process. All you have to do is go, either have your accountant do it or you do it. You go out to the state of Missouri Department of Revenue and go to MOScholars. Just type in MOScholars and it comes up and it says, how much money do you want to reserve? Okay, I want to reserve $500. I wanted to do the minimum. I want to reserve 1,000. I want to reserve 4,000. I want to reserve 10,000. And they say, okay, here's your confirmation number. Okay, now you're done with the state of Missouri. So you take that confirmation number, you send it to the Missouri district. Basically, I always did attention Lee. Sorry about that. And
all right.
she goes out and she goes to the state of Missouri and says, hey, you wanted $500, you wanted 1,000. And the state of Missouri says, yes, they have reserved that. Then they send Leah or Missouri district a confirmation, which she sends back to you in mail. And I think, Lee, you said it takes 3 or 4 or 5 days to do, to get that.
Yep.
And so they send a letter, and then that letter becomes your tax payment that you just take to your tax preparer, and they know what to do with it from there. Okay. They'll put it in line 40 of your tax return as a tax credit. Simple as that. Takes about 15 minutes.
So if you've met the district staff, our CFO is a man by the name of Peter Craigie. And on July 1st, Pete and I actually had a race to see who could type in our information online the fastest. Josh actually swung by my office and said he's doing it. So I went very fast. I think it took me 2 minutes to type in. I knew what amount I wanted to put in, and it's just the standard stuff. My name and contact information. There are links to the state treasurer's MOScholar page from the Missouri district website. Right. So there you can, depending on how you want to get to that page, you can go straight to the state site.
Yeah, we went ways just to try both ways.
Yeah.
And it went through the same way. Yeah.
Sure. And what happened is, I got a confirmation number and sent that with my check onto the district office. And then days later, I had what I needed from the state of Missouri.
I did one of them the other day off the cell phone.
Okay.
We did the whole application on a cell phone. I've done one on a laptop and one on a regular desktop computer. So it doesn't take anything fancy. It was kind of funny. She said, well, I don't have any computers, but I do have the internet on my cell phone. Can we do it with that? By gosh, worked just like any, or 10 minutes, we were done.
Great. That's great. All right. So I will admit to everyone, I've gone through the process. This is my first year using tax credits. And so I'm kind of curious, HW, because you alluded to this, when it comes to April and I'm hanging out with my CPA and I have this brand new piece of paperwork that I got from the state back in July when I reserved my tax credits, what's going to happen? I bring in this piece of paper. Is there going to be more work involved for me in April when I need to redeem these?
No, once you have that piece of paper, the state will have already been notified that you have that credit on file. And all you're going to do now is go to your tax return, and it's on line 40. That there again, I'm an accountant and I know lines, but it'll say tax credits. So you just put in that confirmation number and the dollar amount, and the rest of it just flows through with your tax return, just like you would have written a check.
Okay. And you spoke about this of using one of your clients as an example, but April hits and I find out that I still owe X amount of dollars to the state of Missouri. I can choose correct me if I'm wrong, to redeem all the credits I've reserved. I can choose to redeem some of the credits I've reserved. How does that work?
Yeah, my understanding is that you can make that choice. Normally, they would say we're going to use everything that we can, and but you say, well, maybe I want some to carry forward. I don't know. I guess I'm a guy that says, well, no, why should I spend more money just so I have a carryover? I might as well use everything that I paid for already first, and then buy more if I want to buy more. Hopefully, I think that the state of Missouri, once they got these credits set up, most of the time, they'll let you apply for more the next year. I think this is a trial thing for them. And if it works for them, I think they'll continue it.
Okay. So I, as a taxpayer, can use some and carry it for up to 4 years, or I can get them all back in the form of a refund.
If you want it, yeah. If you want it, you certainly can. It just reduces your tax. If it was $1,000 and you use $500, you got $1,000 paid in, you get your $500 back. So
okay, sounds good. Well, those are all the questions that I had that day with HW at lunch, and it really helped me then to feel good about the process. And okay, here we go. And I felt like, well, I can start talking about it with others. I have not been watching the Q&A portion, Josh, but what I see that there are questions there. What's popping up?
Yeah, absolutely. So quite a few things coming through. So I'll run through those in order of listing that they've popped up. The first one says, just a comment. Someone who is not experienced with a tax credit, they might consider trying this tax credit this year for the amount that they owed to Missouri last year in April, just to see how it works. Before attempting to reduce their current withholdings and things. So that's a great strategy and idea for that.
Sure, that's a good planning tool. Now, mind you that having experienced income taxes, if you're going to use this credit on last year, obviously that credit wasn't set up on 2021's forms, but you can just say what if, okay. And you'll just have to watch your tax return, because what'll happen is if that does not have a confirmation number on, it very well could be that it won't transfer it over as a credit because it won't recognize it. So you just kind of have to watch for that. Or, what you might want to do is use a credit that is out there, because there's a whole list that you can pick from that are already qualified, and say, even if it's violence or whatever, and put your $1,000 or your $500 in, see what it looks like on your tax return. And, because you're not going to send it in anyway, but it may limit you because that credit wasn't available in 21. So you might have to use one of the other credits to see how it actually looks on your tax return.
All right, thank you. So we've got some questions coming in. So the first question is, how does the money received get split out to the schools? And then kind of in addition to that, I'm sure most people using this have a pet school and want to know if any of it is going there. Can we direct it to a school? And I can answer that. You cannot direct it to a school. You send it in, it gets put in a pool, and the way it ends up to the students is we are going through when they've qualified. So we're using that as a date that they are qualified, and we're awarding accordingly. So if a family, as an example, has 2 kids, we're making sure that we've got the funds so that we can hit both in that family before moving on to the next list. So the best way that I can say that is if you're giving it, directing your dollars for education, in fact, Lutheran education, you are impacting all families and helping them to be able to attend a school of their choice. And the different principals can share how many that they have in a list. Some have as many of as 11. Some have as many as 5 or as small as 1 that are participating in this. But I'm pretty confident that after this year, we're going to continue to see it grow in that regard. There is a question. They have a question mark next to it. Write a check for a tax credit. Kind of basically, can you explain that process?
Okay. Well, in order, somehow or another, you have to get the money to the Missouri district. You're either going to do that as I think that maybe Lee, you might be able to help me on this. I don't know if you can accept a wire transfer of money from the bank directly. We use check because it's a common thing that everybody kind of knows. It says, you're going to write a check to Missouri District instead of writing a check to the state of Missouri. However, you're going to do that. If you file your taxes electronically and you pay your taxes electronically, you can electronically do this with the Missouri District. I'm guessing that Pete probably has that set up. Worst case scenario, that's what I mean by check, a method of payment.
Right.
Yeah.
Right now, we don't have all of our electronic capabilities up and running. For donations, we do, but not for this. So yeah, checks are involved because this basically is people paying their taxes early, and that's why the money exchange is happening. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, with the newness of the program and the quickness of the program to get all the electronics set up, kind of put you behind getting a program, the real program started. So check is probably your best method.
Another question here. How is Missouri handling this credit for people who file after April 15th? And they kind of cite some different issues.
That doesn't affect it. If you don't file before April 15th and you have an extension, the tax credits are extended too. So it works no different than any other filing that you do. So, there's not a limitation that, you got to do it before a certain time. No. As long as you got your extensions and as long as you pay your taxes, that's the same that's the same timeline that you use for this.
Okay. Next question there is, what is the situation with funding? Some tax credits are, quote, sold, expecting the state will fund or allow them. You purchase a credit hoping it will work out. So with this being 100% credit, this is even more important. Is there a chance that too many people will apply for credits and they will become prorated?
What a nice problem to have, but no, they will not be prorated. Now, if I go out and I buy a tax credit from my tax return, I can't sell it to you and you use it. I have to use it. That's one of the restrictions. You have to use your tax credit. You can't sell it to your nephew, your cousin, your uncle, or whatever. You have to use your own credit. So I say, oh gosh, I don't know that much tax. Here, you use my credit. No, it's an individual thing. It's on the tax return that you file.
So here's another one. This is coming from another treasurer. So what are their requirements for this program as well, if any?
Okay, you're talking about the Educational Assistance Organization like Missouri District?
I'll read it. It says, I'm also a treasurer for a Mo District approved church/school. So what are our requirements for the program as well, if any? That's all I have.
I think they might be asking as a school, what are the requirements of the school to get kids through the process?
That makes sense. So from a school standpoint, the requirement is you have to be an accredited school and you have to be under our umbrella, which we've got pretty much everybody in there that's accredited in the system for that. Now, what's required in the springtime is they're required to provide us with the test. So whether it's MAP scores or whatever the kids that they're doing. So that's what the obligation is from the schools, because the state wants to be able to prove and show a metric that the kids are learning and benefiting from going to a school of their choice. So it's really what they're looking for. And then from our end, we are to provide that report along with some survey data from the families sharing how well this has benefited them this past year. So those are the requirements that will come out in the springtime.
Good answer. Yeah.
And then the next question I'm seeing here is, how do I get a confirmation number for line 40?
Well, the Missouri District's going to send out that letter to you that will have that state credit number on it. The confirmation number that you get from the state when you first go out to MissouriScholars.com is a confirmation that you have reserved some credits but not paid for them yet. So when the check goes into the Missouri District, then the Missouri District's going to match up those those reserved credits with the check and send you a confirmation letter with that number on it.
Gotcha. There's some follow-up components dealing with the requirements for this program as well. So they're saying there's no paperwork or tax filing burden on the church/school itself. I'm not aware of any. H.W. Meyer, do you know of any that there's any extra burden?
Once qualified your school, then, with the Missouri district and you're on their list, that's the only thing that the school has to worry about. They don't have to worry about reporting to the Department of Revenue.
Gotcha. So some other questions, is preschool included? This is K-12 is where that is set up. And the beautiful part of kindergarten or first graders, there's really no requirements, meaning they don't have to come from a public school. They could have been in your preschool the entire time, your Lutheran preschool. They get into kindergarten, you can apply for it based on meeting an income level requirement amount, or by chance if you've got an IEP or an ISP set up. But chances are at kindergarten, first grade, you're not going to have one of those, but you'll be based on income. And that can be at 100% of the free and reduced federal income guidelines, or at 200% of the free and reduced federal guidelines. So those are ways that you can earn that.
Okay.
These are great questions, by the way. I love that people are putting a lot of thought into this, and that excites me because it is a neat program.
Yeah, these are great questions.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. A couple more. Can you go on? What are the requirements for students to apply for a scholarship? Really, it's based on income to apply, or to kind of meet the needs, or if you have a learning disability. So those are the two requirements that are there. If it's based on income, it's at 100% or 200% level. If you're entering after say first grade, like second grade through 12th grade, you have had to have been in a public school the year prior for at least a semester's worth of time, and you can, as you're transferring in. So those are ways that you can connect. Either kindergarten, first grade, you could have been in a Lutheran school your entire time, or second grade up, you would have come from a public school or homeschool type of system to come in and qualify that way. Now the question here, is there a MOScholars page that I can clarify to myself about the April 15th deadline? Says this is paramount for our personal case to know any funds I give in 2022 will apply to 2022 taxes regardless of our filing date, likely after April. Need to provide this rule to CEO.
Yeah, no, there's no April 15th deadline, as long as you're not delinquent, obviously. If you file your tax return and you can't get it done by April 15th, and you want to file for an extension to October 15th, then this credit goes to October 15th. It follows tax rules. It follows all regular filing requirements that was there before. So whatever you did before, you can do here, and the credits follow.
All right. Trying to look through because people are adding to their questions and seeing which ones. Hopefully I didn't miss any. Here's another statement. If you're not familiar with this type of item, this is a MO tax credit, where instead of paying taxes to Missouri, you literally direct your dollars directly to a single cause. So if your MO withholding for this year is $10K, you could theoretically reduce your withholding to 0 and instead write a single check to this tax credit program for $10K instead. So your dollars are all going to Lutheran education and not to roads or whatever else.
Well, that's a true statement, except for if your tax is $10,000, you can only use $5,000 this year. You have to carry the other $5,000 over to the next 4 years. So, you don't get all $10,000 in 1 year. You only get half of that in 1 year, and then the rest gets carried over. So you don't lose it, but you can't use 100% of your tax.
And let's see. Says if someone wanted to learn how their pet school will benefit, would you recommend asking the principal how many students have applied? I think that would be a good strategy for the principal to say, hey, we have 11 students on this list waiting to receive a Most scholarship. So anything that you help is definitely going to help. Part of it is going to benefit our school in the end as we get those things funded. The principal can't say, you send in your check, it will benefit these children specifically, because he can't direct that exactly. But that will definitely get people amped up. Oh, wow, if I do this, I know our school is going to benefit in the long run with this as well. So that's actually a very good strategy.
Yeah. Sure. Hey, Josh, would it be helpful if I shared what I saw over in Illinois with their program and picking schools?
Please go ahead. Yes.
So the state of Illinois has a tax credit program, and I this summer may have snuck over to a Catholic high school just to eavesdrop on how do they present this to taxpayers? What are they saying? How does this work? And so I sat in the back and listened. State does have a setup where taxpayers are allowed to select their school of choice. And I got to see what that means, because also in the room was a mom from a Catholic school in East St. Louis. If you're familiar with the state of Illinois, East St. Louis is a tough neighborhood. So these scholarships would have meant a lot. Her son has spent the last 2 years on the wait list, never made it off. Reason being, taxpayers are not selecting the Catholic school in East St. Louis. That school was not able to pull in enough to get their students off, and this just kept happening year after year after year. So this program that was intended to help this very school and this very family wasn't, because choice prevented that from happening. And so I thought, wow. So I left that meeting thinking, okay, what does that mean for us in Missouri? We don't have choice. But then my take on it is, let's just get everybody off the wait list. God can do amazing things, and the capacity is there. So rather than be concerned about which of the 20 schools this is going to, let's just take care of everybody. We can do it, right, Josh?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So here's another thing to get clarification. If I send my check in 2022, I will get a 2022 tax credit, even if I send it on December 31st. Or is there a cutoff to get a 2022 credit versus a 2023 credit?
My opinion is that if Lee gets the check before December 31st and can deposit it, then it's 2022. If she gets it on January the 5th, probably not, because this is a trial program and it ends on December the 31st, and then they'll decide if they're going to extend it. So I'm sure that whatever Lee can get done on December the 31st, that's what's going to qualify.
And we had, and I'll share this, we had a state Zoom meeting today with all the EAOs. They are very ecstatic. We have, and I wrote the number down, I think it's 800 and some odd, that 849 scholarships that have completely been awarded in the state. They didn't expect to be closing in on 1,000. So they're very ecstatic. They're getting ready to put out here on October 14th a renewal application for the EAOs to continue here. So they're already talking about it. Yeah. And they're opening up because they have some other EAO organizations or other people that are willing to join as EAO organizations. So it's going to expand, I think, from 4 beyond that here, when we'll see that going into next year.
I'll tell you what, it was great that the Missouri district jumped right on board right away. They were on top of it. And, it just tells you how good that they manage things up there.
So along those lines, though, we all heard at the start, Josh shared there are 95 children that are currently sitting on the wait list. And we have until December 31st as taxpayers to get them off the wait list. And so this fall, we so appreciate you attending today, but your ability to participate as taxpayers, but to speak to this at your school to parents and grandparents. You heard all taxpayers qualify for this. To speak to it at your congregations. We'll clear out our waiting list. Let's all just work together. If you would be so kind to help us get the word out. I feel like this is the best kept secret we have right now, but it's not going to be a secret for long.
Yeah, one more here. It says, how much has been raised so far compared to the ceiling total of all credits available? Just curious. So you're talking about us, we have a $1 million ceiling. So that we can supply 150 students for a scholarship. We have, from a tax reservation component, just north of 172,000. But we have verified that have come into us that we can give scholarships to is $100,500 have come in. So we haven't yet hit our mark of hitting that $1 million, but we're marching that direction. In terms of total scholarships given out, just north of 2,300 out of 4,000 total, and that's just who they have qualified. I think it's about 1,800 and some odd students that have qualified to receive a scholarship. And like I shared earlier, 849 are fully funded at the moment, and that's current as of this morning.
Fantastic.
Well, any other comments, questions, concerns?
Lots more keep piling in here. So here's a comment. So this program is a great way for us to be centered working together. We may want to do missions overseas or across the country, but sometimes having trouble helping people outside of our school. And so here is an opportunity that we can help our people in our state. And here's another one. And I know, Leah, you can answer this one. Do you have flyers or other materials that congregations can put in our newsletter? And we don't have a school that is driving this, but I think this is an important cause. Take it away.
Thank you for whoever asked this. This is a great question. The answer is yes. I have it all. We have a flyer. We can provide paragraphs for your bulletin, all sorts of stuff. You could share our social media posts. If it would help, I can put my email address in the section. If I see it, if I type it in Q&A, will folks see it, Josh?
Yes.
Okay, and then feel free to use it or give me a call or whatever. However I can answer, I would love to.
There's another question that says, for marketing, how much fills a scholarship? So for each student, it's $6,375 that we're hitting that, but we also have to give 4% back to the state. So if you add about another $250 so there to that, that's how much it costs to make sure that we can give a child fully funded at $6,375.
Right.
And I'm not seeing any more questions come in. This has been great.
Yeah. Just the fact that people can pass this on, and they've got contacts, and you two have a contact with somebody who does taxes, always available to help here, because I think it's a win-win-win. And I'm putting it out, in fact, even to my accounting firm that I work for, and they say, oh, great, we're going to pass this on. And even if I'm a Catholic, can I give to the Lutheran one? I said, we'll take your check. So yeah, they're just not there's really not a downside to this program. Really not. It's just state of Missouri just is looking forward.
Absolutely. So thank you all. Thank you, H.W. Meyer. Thank you, Leah, for all of that. And if you want more information, feel free to reach out to myself or to Leah. We'll be happy to share information with you. You can contact Leah Sieva-King at Leah, Leah Sieva-King. That's SIEVE. KING at mo.lcms.org. Appreciate you all for joining today and caring about how we can make an impact to send a child who never thought they could afford, whose family never thought they could afford to send their child to a Christian school, to be able to do so. Talk about life-changing ministry. Thank you all.